Wow. I think I'm on. Am I on, Andy? Okay. Thank you, Grace. If you would find out PowerPoint. I got so carried away, I forgot to go and get changed while we were praying for Kim, and then I was like, oh my goodness, and so I ran. And I also forgot my towel this morning. And Sarah Lewis, the recently married Mrs. Lewis, very kindly had a towel. I mean, she is just a godsend. However, the towel was very pink and very small. And to be honest, Sarah, I've seen bigger tea towels than this. But I did manage to dry one of my feet, which is great. So thank you so much. I do love baptism services, and today is a fantastic day. It's a very special day, and what a thrill, isn't it, to be celebrating with Kim today. Helen's already said it's taken her a while, but she told her story fantastically, and that public demonstration of faith is just absolutely wonderful, isn't it? Here's another interesting little fact for you before she comes back in. As you walk into the foyer of this building, there's a plaque on the wall. Have a look at it. It's as you walk in, just through the glass doors, it's immediately on the wall on the left-hand side as you come in. And it's a plaque of a person. It's to remember a man whose name is Brian Gleno. And this man, it's a great tribute to him. He was significantly involved in this area. In fact, his life was devoted to the community of Hotchkiss Grange. He literally volunteered many years in this very building, to the extent that that plaque has been put up in honour of him. And that man happens to be Kim's dad. The dad that she talked about, who was sort of trying to keep her under control when she was a wild teenager. So how could she get baptized anywhere else than in here? How appropriate it's here that, and with us, that she's taken that fantastic step of faith and obedience. And Kim has publicly expressed her faith in Jesus Christ. And of course, in the Bible, we find these 4 wonderful biographies about Jesus: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Each of the writers record what they saw, what they observed, and what they heard about Jesus. And today we're going to quickly look at one little section written by one of the writers, a man called Matthew. And this is chapter 4 of his particular biography of Jesus. Just a few verses from chapter 4. He says this: "One day, as Jesus was walking along the shore of the Sea of Galilee, he saw 2 brothers, Simon, who is also called Peter, and Andrew, throwing a net into the water, for they fished for a living. Jesus called out to them, 'Come, follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people.' They left their nets at once, and they followed him." And I just want to focus today on just the words of Jesus in this little section. That's just one sentence, and it's actually an invitation. He says this: "Come, follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people." And we're going to break this invitation down, and we're going to start with just the very first word. Here Jesus is saying, "Come." And in effect, he's saying, "You're welcome." Everyone is welcome. He's extending an invitation to every person. There is no one who is excluded. There is access for all of us. And we might say, well, how can that be? You might argue with me. You might say, Terry, that cannot be me. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, is extending the invitation to me. Don't be ridiculous. You've got no idea about my life. You've got no idea about the stuff I've done. You've got no idea about my thoughts, how dark they are or how desperate they are. You've got no clue about how unworthy I feel. Do you know, I know of people who say that if they enter a church, they're sure they're going to be struck down by lightning. And they're kind of joking, but actually what they're saying really is, look, I'm not good enough to be close to God. But Jesus' invitation is for everyone. The people he's inviting in this section of his biography have exactly the same problem. They struggled at the time to believe that Jesus wanted to invite them. The very people he's talking to here, they're struggling. He's saying, come on, you come. And in one of them, a guy called Peter that we mentioned, he says, you go away from me, I'm a sinful man. Don't come anywhere near me. And maybe you're in the same boat as Peter. Oh, boat. Excuse the pun. Maybe you're saying, God, you're perfect. I'm so far from that. I'm not good enough to relate to you. And do you know what God's answer is? Too right. You're not good enough, but my love is strong enough. Jesus Christ, God the Son, died in our place, paying the price for our sin. And we cannot approach God on our own. Our imperfect hearts, the very thing that Kathy talked about right at the beginning of our service, they keep us away. But Jesus, the one who makes the invitation, is also the one who makes the way. I'm going to say that again because I think that's quite good. The one who makes the invitation is also the one who makes the way. And as we put in our faith in Jesus, we're forgiven, we're set free, we have access to God. Just as we've seen today, symbolically, we are washed clean. We rise up to a new life with God at the centre. And that's what Kim has publicly demonstrated today. She, in spite of by her own acknowledgement, her imperfection, she's responded to Jesus' invitation. He said, come with me, Kim. And she said, well, what about the rubbish in my life? And Jesus said, look, I've got that covered. I've got that covered. No matter who we are, no matter what we've done, the invitation to come to Jesus is for every single person. There is no one excluded. And the reason is because he's got it covered. The cross has got it covered. The second part of the sentence is follow me. Jesus here is saying, look, if you come along with me, you and I, we can go on an adventure together. We have an exciting journey to travel together. Jesus says, look, I've got so much to share with you. Don't just come to me. Stay with me. Walk with me. I am the great teacher, Jesus said. There is so much that you can learn. We have places to go together. So far, you've gone on your own journey. So far, you've walked in your own direction. How about coming along with me? See, the initial encounter is only the beginning. The Christian life is actually an entirely different worldview. It's radical. It's countercultural. And sometimes, and often, we'll feel we're going against the tide. Sometimes the Christian perspective is so different to what might be regarded as normal. The Christian life is so much more than an experience. It's a commitment. It's a new way to live. But here we discover we don't do it alone. Jesus grabs hold of our hands and he pulls us onto the roller coaster of new life. And he says, come on, let's do this. Come with me. And sometimes it's thrilling and sometimes it's scary. And there are so many challenging times and difficult times and even painful times. But Jesus says, look, you don't go through any of this alone. Jesus says very clearly, I will be with you always to the very end. The Bible tells us that God will not leave us or forsake us. So Jesus says, come, follow me. The third part of the sentence, I will show you how. Now some people will be surprised to hear this. I'm not the greatest at DIY. I know, it's amazing. Yeah, what a revelation. When I'm putting something together and I'm following instructions, well, halfway through, I think, these instructions, let's have a bash on my own and see how that goes. And there are many stories that I could tell as to how well that's all turned out. But I'm not going to bore you with those right now. But do you know what? I have discovered a revelation. It is called, and it was introduced to me by a lady sat there called Hillary. It's called YouTube. Right? It's not just a load of boring written instructions which are clearly very complicated, and you're pretty clueless as you read them. No, a man or a woman standing there completing the task that you need to complete. This very practical class. I'll tell you what, it's changed my life. My skill set when it comes to DIY has moved up on a scale from diabolical to poor. Someone showing me has greatly helped. And as we think about Jesus' statement here, we discover something about the uniqueness of Jesus. He says, I will show you how. Imagine the idea of a God who doesn't just tell us what to do, but shows us how to do it by setting an example. And this is who Jesus is. See, Christians do not attempt to reach up to God. No, we worship a God who reached down. Jesus, who has always existed with his Father, he became human. And that means he fully understands us. Joy, excitement, pain, fear, temptation, bereavement, betrayal, bullying, adulation, rejection. He's experienced it all. And so with that in mind, we have a number of benefits. We can take our lives to him, first of all, because he knows how we feel. Secondly, we have faith that actually he can help, because not only was he human, fully human, he was also fully God in human form. And we can learn from his example. We can learn how to deal with life. His response to people on the edge of society, his response to people who didn't like him, his response to the huge personal challenges he faced in his life. His teaching is so profound that it shaped the morality and the conduct of Western civilization, modern civilization across the world, actually. But much more than that, his actions, not just his words, but his actions, show us so much more of how we can live our lives. And so as we complete the sentence, his actions show us that we can actually point others to him as well, a vital part of our Christian lives. And so the last part of the sentence is to fish for people. Come follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people. What a strange statement. What on earth does he mean? Fish for people? Well, Jesus is saying actually that people are drifting along through like the ocean of life, and they're getting on with it, and they're surviving. And they have no idea that there is eternal hope. But here Jesus is talking about actually how people can be captured by the love of God, by receiving the revelation of his truth. They can experience the fact that they can be captivated by his grace and by his mercy. And so we find that as we discover God for ourselves, as we draw close to Jesus, as we follow him, he will show us how we can then help others discover the same eternal hope, the same eternal peace, the same love that we enjoy as part of his family. Come, follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people. So this final part of the sentence reminds us that actually this is much, much bigger than just us. This is a bigger mission. This is a worldwide call for the people of God. And there is a natural human desire. I'll see if you agree with me. I believe there's a natural human desire. If we receive good news, we want to pass it on. I remember when our kids were born. That was an adventure. We were told, we told one or two people, and the news just spread like wildfire. People were saying, this wonderful thing has happened. There is another Hotchkiss in the world. Just when you thought the world couldn't get better. Another Hotchkiss. How can the world get better? So, and that's what they said in my mind anyway. But good news travels fast, doesn't it? Whether it's the birth of a child or the passing of an exam or a new job or an engagement or a clean bill of health after an illness or a relationship restored or a newly married couple or a brand new baby or a person giving their life to God, standing in front of everyone and publicly stating about it. These are all wonderful moments of good news. And if we get something good, we want to share it with other people, don't we? And Jesus knows this. He knows we cannot help sharing good news. And his instruction in Mark's Gospel, another record of Jesus' life, Jesus' instruction there is, go into all the world, share the good news with everyone. Kim has demonstrated that today. As I said, she was unsure about being able to stand in front of everyone and share her story. But what has happened to Kim is what we've been talking about. As we look at this invitation from Jesus, Jesus said, come and follow me. I'll show you how to fish for people. Kim has committed to draw close to Jesus, to follow him. And as he showed her and as he spoke to her, she said to Helen and me, she said, I just know what to say now. I know I can do it. And I know what to say. I sent her a message this morning, and she said, let's do this. That was her response on text to me this morning. I said, Kim, are you okay? Praying for you. She goes, let's do this. Fantastic. That is the fishing for people bit, that testifying. She shared her story in the hope that others will be affected and helped. And she's done it publicly today. Now, most of us have the opportunity to do that, but probably more privately, as we share with friends or family or all the different people we might come in contact with, as we share about all that God has done for us and all that he can do for them. And so as we conclude, and I wonder whether someone could say to Isaac, we're going to ask the kids to come back in, or just touch the mic there. Sorry, Facebook, I probably blasted your ears there. So we're just going to conclude. I'd just like us to close our eyes just for a moment. And so I'm just going to ask us, as we're before God and as the Holy Spirit to work in our hearts, which of these categories do you find you fit into? Are you still thinking about Jesus' invitation to come to him? He might be saying to you, come to me, you've been pondering too long, now's the time. I've died to give you freedom, as Julie talked about. Come to me. Maybe Jesus said, very particularly to you, follow me. You realize there's been a bit of a distance. You've been tempted to go your own way. Maybe this is the time you realign your journey. You draw close to him and to where he wants to take you. Maybe as Jesus says to you, I will show you. This is a time for you to learn from his word, from his teaching, from his example. Maybe there's a new commitment to listen more attentively to the voice of Jesus and to learn from him. Or maybe as Jesus talks about fishing for people, you know that you are stirred to share with others once again. And you need to step out. And so maybe you're asking for a new boldness, a new courage to be a witness, to be a teller of good news. And so as we have our eyes closed now, let's just ask the Holy Spirit to bring to our minds the relevant response we can make. And I'm just going to repeat the phrase really slowly. And then let's silently ask God to help us as we respond to him. Come. Follow me. I will show you. How to fish for people. Amen.